Hello all. You all are there?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much for waiting 5 minutes. So actually in the prescribed one, I was supposed to take from 16th to 30 components, right? And today I'll be taking 16 to 19 components, and this is our last class, right? So here, the third unit is all about the major approaches and methods. What are these approaches and methods? Yeah, what are these approaches and methods? Anybody there? Yes. What is a method in teaching learning process? What do you mean by that? Come on. Only few have joined.
Following some set of rules in the classroom where student can able to understand the teacher teaching.
Are you sure it is rules that should be followed? That is what you mean by that?
Rules should be followed by the teacher, ma'am, so that it will be a learner-centered classroom where students can have the atmosphere of liveliness and enjoyableness at the time of learning.
Go ahead.
At the time of learning, and here teacher need to follow some methods and strategies where they can make students to share their feelings. So that's all about it, ma'am.
Okay, but method is not something about the rules that teacher should follow. Method is the technique or the teaching process that teacher would like to adopt in the classroom so that her teaching can become more interesting and more effective in a classroom, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Like dividing into groups of children and giving some useful tasks and activities where they can happily participate.
Yes.
Language games and some build story forms. So like this, some activities they need to be engaged with the children so that they will participate lively, and it will be a learn-centered classroom.
Yeah, that is okay. And here, see, actually, in there were methods which were followed in teaching. The methods were again divided into the traditional methods and the modern methods. Traditional methods, in the sense, they are like grammar translation method, or almost like reading method, natural approach, right? Situational approach, structural approach. So these were first followed in the teaching learning process. Later on, like grammar, for example, you take grammar translation method. Okay, here in the grammar translation method, they were focusing more on teaching grammar rules. They were focusing more on teaching grammar rules rather than focusing on the spoken English or any other part of the skill that could be developed among the students. So what is happening when they have adopted this method? grammar translation method, then they were teaching the grammar, and that too, like the grammatical rules, and they were assessing only the grammatical rules into sentences in the foreign languages, right, in the foreign language. And vocabulary in the target language was also learned through direct translation from the mother tongue. These were happening in grammar translation method. So here the students, they were very good at grammar, but they failed to use this the learned grammar in the real life situations, and they studied these grammar rules explicitly, right? And but they could develop reading and writing also to some extent, but there was no attention paid to the speaking and listening skills. So the students were lacking in these skills, speaking and listening. As a result, they came up with another method. They thought that no, grammar translation method is not appropriate because it is not developing the speaking and the listening skills of the students. So they wanted to come up with a new method. And eventually they came up with other methods like bilingual method, right? Bilingual method is a method where they use both mother tongue and the target language. And after that, they said, no, this is not the way to be, method that is appropriate. And then again, they came out with another method like audiolingual method, and this method was first introduced in the United States of America. And the emergence of this method was a response to the need for a radical change of foreign language teaching due to the unfriendly relationship between US and Russia. Actually, US and Russia, they were, it was a wartime where some of these people, the military, it was around World War II. USA entered into this World War II, and it tried to send its army to take positions in many other countries. So when they go there, they should interact with the people living there. But these people don't know the languages. So it was the only language, English, to be learned, and this army should be trained in the languages, in that language, so that they can interact with the people where they are placed in different countries. And this audiolingual method is the one, which rose up as an answer for this. And then, after grammar translation method, reading method, bilingual method, and then the audiolingual method. And this audiolingual method, in this method, the learners were equipped with the knowledge and the skill required for effective communication in a foreign language. And this also, this method also believes in a saying that it says that this method also helps the learners to undergo a process of change in mental and physical behavior, right? So this was also could be seen in this method. And when it is when there is a change in mental, cognitivism, and physical behavior, that is behaviorism, you have already learned these two, right? So, and as a result of this audiolingual method, the learners were able to comprehend, understand the foreign language when it is spoken at a normal speed, and they could speak in acceptable, not excellent pronunciation and grammatical correctness, but to some extent acceptable pronunciation and all that. And there were many advantages of adopting this method in teaching learning process, right? All the teaching skills were also focused in this, not just the reading and writing like in grammar translation method, but the skills, spoken skills and the listening skills were also developed. Okay, through this method. But even this method had some disadvantages. The teachers realized that learning. The disadvantages may not be that serious, but the language teachers has experienced that. What did they experience? They realized that learning takes place outside the classroom. So is it? Do our students use the appropriate? The correct English while speaking outside the classroom, or are they able to apply in the situation that they encounter outside the classroom? Right. Furthermore, these language teachers were expected to be fluent. The teachers also should be well trained and fluent in this language to use this audiolingual method. Right. Are you able to understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And they were trying to, only the teachers with effective language skills can take up this method. Okay. And following that in their classrooms. And so then there were some problems also to be faced, like here, besides these 4 language skills, LSRW, by adopting this method, it was easy for the teachers to teach the subject matter of the language. What do you mean by subject matter of the language? Vocabulary, grammar, okay, all this. But grammar and vocabulary, that is okay, they'll be learning. But what about the logical arrangement of forms, meanings, paradigms and rules? Yes, that were followed in the written language, right? This wasn't taken much care of. So as a result, they came up with another method, the modern method, that is communicative language teaching. And this can be traced back to the British language teaching tradition in the late 1960s. Okay. So they thought that, okay, this audio lingual method is also not that, not that efficient and helping the teacher in order to go ahead to teach the language. Then they came up with another new method. Wilkins proposed a functional and proposed these communicative syllabuses for language teaching. He divided the communicative users of language into 2 categories. First one, notional category. Here, the concepts such as time, sequence, quantity, location, frequency were dealt. And the next one is a category of communicative functions, like the language used to request, to apologize, to offer something, or complaints, denials, etc. Right. Later, the same thing, Wilkins' syllabus was later revised in 1972 in a book called Notional Syllabuses, okay, by Wilkins himself. Right. And he attempted to demonstrate the systems of meanings that lay behind the communicative uses of the language. So now, actually, in the present day, this communicative language teaching method is not seen as a method anymore. It is an approach. What is the difference between approach and a method? Yeah? What is
approach
it?
Is a whole process. An approach is a whole process.
Whole process, it involves more than one method also, right?
Yes, it has many methods.
Yeah. And method is something, which is one and which is exclusively used all alone, right? It is not combined with any other method.
And method is, it is a part of an approach. I think.
Yes, method is a part of an approach. Very good. Now here, Finocchiaro and Brumfitt, they had brought about differences between audiolingual method and communicative approach or communicative language teaching method, right? Approach, right? So according to this model method, the learners were able to understand the whole meaning of whatever is being taught to them. But in audiolingual thing, they just attended to the structure and form of the language rather than understanding the meaning that it conveys. And another one, in communicative approach, they used dialogues, which are communicative functions, and they are dialogues in the sense we don't memorize anything as such, right? We just go ahead. We exchange dialogues one after the other. So on page 195, if you have textbooks, you can open that. So here in communicative approach, we learn language to communicate, to interact. Okay. And I mean, the main purpose of this communicative approach is to
develop communicative skills.
Make our communication.
Ma'am, sorry to interrupt you, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, your voice is not clear, ma'am.
Okay. I'll okay. Am I clear now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
मैम आई वांट टू आस्क कि हम लोग को असाइनमेंट्स नहीं मिले अभी तक
Pardon?
असाइनमेंट्स
What is assignment? What do you want?
like for ma'am like every each subject we have at least 5 assignments ma'am for like for internal marks
Yes, we'll give you.
but someone in the group posted that the exams are being supposed to be started in the month of September.
That one I'm not sure. You can contact the people in the office.
Okay.
They ask you to submit your assignment.
For internal assignments, there is no notification as such of now.
Yes, someone was saying something.
About internal assignments, ma'am.
Internal assignments, I think they will be giving, the questions and you need to answer those questions and stuff.
Yeah, we know the format, but they haven't shared with us the questions that are to be answered and the date that needs to be submitted.
Okay, but I'll just try to find out and let you know about this, right? And you also please try to contact the people.
Thank you so much ma'am.
Right?
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. I mean, all these are, the main goals of communicative language teaching. What are the main goals? First, to improve the 4 language skills of the learners. Secondly, to understand the meaning, not just the form and the structure of the sentences, but the meaning that it conveys, right? And then they also help the learners to access their linguistic knowledge, carry out the activities in a meaningful way. Okay, and to improve their communication. I mean, to improve their communication and to communicative competence. Right. And there are objectives of CLT also. What are these objectives? Before in 1981, he discussed several levels and objectives of a communicative approach. Why so much of noise? Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let us see the objectives of CLT, right? Communicative language teaching method or approach. Here, the first one, an integrative and content level. That is language as a means of expression. What is objective? The first objective, what language is treated as a means to express our thoughts, our feelings through appropriate vocabulary, right? And second one, a linguistic and instrumental level. Like here, it serves as a source which could help us to improve. I mean, this method helps the learners to improve their 4 language skills and all the other concepts that go in of the language, like grammar, vocabulary, everything. And third one, interpersonal relationships and conduct. See, when we interact with others, only we try to discuss, we try to share our opinions, we try to give our advice, suggestions, right? All this happens when we can communicate effectively with a peer group or with others. And this could be made possible only by this approach, communicative language teaching approach. So here we'll be developing and strengthening the interpersonal relationships. Next one, a level of individual learning needs, right? Suppose the learners, I teach you the grammar and other language concepts and I leave the classroom. Later I might evaluate these how much you have learnt, right? Then what I'll do, I might find some of the students don't perform better. So I should know like what exactly they need, what exactly they want from my class. I should know that. So I should find out the needs of those students, and I can go for remedial teaching, take remedial classes, all right? And error analysis, in the sense, learners tend to commit errors, and through errors they'll be learning the language under the guidance of the teacher. Then a general educational level of extra linguistic goals, language learning within the school curriculum. Not only the one prescribed in the curriculum is taught and learned, but students will be encouraged to go beyond that and learn something new, right, on their own. So these are some of the objectives set under CLT. Okay, now what is communicative competence? What is communicative competence? Are you able to understand what I am saying? I mean, till now what I discussed?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. What is communicative competence? Competence means what?
Ability, madam.
Ability to communicate, right? So this was the term, actually used this Galaxy A20. Fine. See, such disturbances, they deviate the teacher. Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
You are audible.
Somebody says I'm not audible in the chat.
Yes, ma'am.
Audible, madam.
So somebody are unmuting, no, ma'am. That time, it becoming not audible, ma'am.
Acha. Okay, now is it audible?
Ma'am, your voice is clear, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, there, ma'am.
Actually, we have found out that, like in cognitivism, we came across a concept that child prior to. Who is this one? We can remove this one from here. Putting in waiting room.
Galaxy A20, madam.
Yeah, I put him or her, I don't know, in the waiting room. Done. We are not disturbed now. So here, communicative competence, like, going back to that point that we have discussed in the previous classes when we were discussing about cognitivism, we learned that children up to 12 years, they undergo, a variety of developments in their brain. And that is the time, where they can grasp and they can learn more than 2 languages at a time. All right. Do you all remember that point?
Yes, madam.
And there we also came up with a language acquisition device. Noam Chomsky has said that. Do you remember that? LAT.
Yes, ma'am.
So he said that there is some area in that brain which acts as LAT. It's a language acquisition device, and that will help the child to grasp the language. And this was talked by Noam Chomsky. In the process of his experimentation and research, he had came up with a concept and coined it as communicative competence, linguistic competence, right? Late in 1965. Later on, Delheims came up with his own proposal saying that, yes, linguistic competence, fine. Competence or the ability in using the language, all the elements of the language, either it is a grammar, vocabulary, or all the 4 skills, right? He said, then Himes, he had came up with another term called communicative competence in 1966. And this was in reaction to the Noam Chomsky's linguistic competence. According to Chomsky, linguistic competence was a separate area, right? And he was talking about only linguistic competence. But according to Himes, he said linguistic competence is one among the many parts of communicative competence. So what is communicative competence? Communicative competence is the intuitive functional knowledge and control of the principles of the language usage, right? Open page 198, you'll find that, what Himes had said. Himes observes that a normal child acquires knowledge of sentences not only as grammatical, but also as appropriate. Temple goes. He will not accept that. His brain now starts thinking, analyzing, and trying to learn the correct language, correct usage of the language. The boy goes to the temple. Yeah, he learns in that way. So he feels that it is appropriate. He also observes that he or she acquires competence as to when to speak, when not, and as to what to talk about with whom, when, where, in what manner. In short, a child becomes able to accomplish a repertoire of speech acts, to take part in speech events, and to evaluate their accomplishments by others. When we were children, you might have remembered like our parents also telling us, come on, you shouldn't speak like this with those people, right? You should speak like this with these people. Yes, do you tell to your own children?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
With elders, they should give respect and they have to speak. So
yes, we teach them, but we don't hold a cane and we don't teach the rules of that language, right? We just teach them. And that kind of thing happens. Like according Himes also says that happens among these children. In other words, a language user needs to use a language not only correctly. Not only correctly means here comes the linguistic competence. Not only using correct grammar, correct pronunciation, appropriate vocabulary, but also appropriately. He should use the language appropriately. Communicative competence. Okay. I say, I don't like Shailaja. I don't like Shailaja. The tone. I mean, do you believe that I don't like Shailaja the way I say? I don't like Shailaja. That means, no, I like her. The tone, there is a difference in the intonation also, the usage. You might have learned in the first year about intonation, right? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Forgot about the classification of consonants, phonetics and intonation, word stress. So here he says that language user should or must use the language correctly and also appropriately. Correctly means using grammar, vocabulary, correct pronunciation, appropriate vocabulary and all, structure, formation of the sentences, all this. Using right prepositions, everything comes under that. And all
Figure of
the
speech, ma'am.
yeah,
Figure of speech.
figure. What do you mean by figure of speech?
No, matlab, using that indirect speech, following the rules of that also.
No, dear, you don't go beyond this. I mean, make it very simple. See, a language user, for example, we take English, we consider English only, right? The learner should use the English language not only correctly, but also appropriately. Correctly means it discusses all the linguistic concepts of the language. Like he should use grammar correctly, he should use correct pronunciation, he should use appropriate vocabulary, he should punctuate correctly, right? All this comes under that. And all these are discussed under linguistic competence. Using language, using English appropriately means I want to ask that what are you doing? So I should ask him, what are you doing? Because I want to know what are you doing. So I'll just directly ask you, what are you doing? Instead of that, if I say, doing what, sleeping, I mean, I can't use like that. So it is the sign of a bad communication, right? The other person will not show interest and continue to interact with you. So language should be used grammatically correct, grammar-wise correctly, as well as it should be communicative appropriately. Okay? You're getting my point? Understood?
Yes, ma'am. Linguistically, no, ma'am.
Yes. Now, according to Himes says communicative competence, it is the ability of the language learner to communicate in the target language fluently and accurately. Okay, fluently means using right intonation, using right punctuation and all, right? And accurately means grammatically correct. Okay, so he says communicative competence has 4 components again. And what are those 4 components? Linguistic competence, social linguistic competence, discourse competence, and strategic competence. What is linguistic competence? This is a knowledge of the language code. That is the grammar and vocabulary of the language and the conventions of the language written representation, how we write that language, right? Punctuation and all that. Then the pronunciation and learning the speech sounds, phonetics. Okay, and then how these speech sounds are produced and used, phonology, interactions and patterns, and then formation of the words. Nation, this is one root word. All this comes under linguistic competence. I want to form new words out of this. International, I'll say nation, national. I'll add AL to the end, and then I'll add a prefix inter. So it becomes international. then internationalism, right? Any other word you can give here. So in this way, we are forming n number of words from one root word. That also that is nothing but morphology, which falls under linguistic competence. Then structure of the sentences, how these words are arranged, SVO pattern, all that comes under syntax of the language, and the meaning conveyed by through this language, and that is semantics. So here the grammar, vocabulary, written form of the language, phonetics, phonology, morphology, syntax, semantics, all this will be discussed under one component, and that is linguistic component. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
And then next one is social linguistic competence. The name itself tells us something related to the society, right? What do you mean by this?
Communicating with people, ma'am.
People, yes, communicating with people, the way you communicate, that is very important here. Like, for example, I am a Hindu, and I have a friend who is a Muslim, and they are celebrating a festival called Ramzan. So I don't know anything, but the way I communicate with my friend, I'll ask them like, which festival you are celebrating, what is the significance of it, and all that. The way you ask, the language you use there, that is very important, because we are not trying to hurt them in any way, neither we are trying to base any religion, right? For example, a Muslim friend can ask another person what is this? You celebrate, every week a festival, and that can be this dialogue can be said with different tones and attitudes. So keeping that in view comes under social linguistic competence, right? If you say, why, what? You celebrate a festival every week? Oh my God. Do you agree with that? No. If you say, oh, you have many festivals in your culture, right? In your community. Well, I think every week you have one festival. Wow. What is that all about? Then slowly the other person will try to interact with you. He says, yes, we have many festivals and we do celebrate every week one festival, something like that. Right? If you say with a different attitude or with an irony in that, the other person might not feel like interacting with you. So living in a society is very important, and to, you should learn to use the correct the specific attitude, when you should use authority, when you should be friendly, and even the students here in the class, they might just say, ma'am, your teaching is not good. Ma'am, can you please improve your way of expressing the things? What is the difference between these two? There is a difference, right? Yes or no? Sleeping?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
There's a difference.
You need to maintain that those expressions, ironically, we say sometimes we try to criticize somebody, we try to appreciate somebody, we try to insult somebody. All that could be, you should be very careful in dealing with the society and the people. Okay? And then comes the discourse competence. Okay. See, I'm trying to interact with you people. I want to know about Parimala and her family. So first, I don't know who she is. I don't know even her name. So what I'll do, I'll try to ask her. First, what should I do?
Introduce yourself.
Yes. Then?
Inquire about her.
I mean, she is just standing beside you. So first you introduce yourself. Yeah, hi, hello, I'm Maria, and may I know your name? Why do you want to know my name? The other person might be in that way also, right? Then you just say like, yes, I had been seeing you since 2 days coming to the school. So I just wanted to know. Actually, I teach for so and so class. I just wanted to know, and she feels comfortable, and again she tries to exchange dialogues with you. Okay, that is discourse competence. The ability.
Basically, it is a style of our communication, ma'am.
Okay.
Conversation skills, ma'am.
Not just the conversation, even the writing part also. Okay.
Yes.
The written part also. Don't forget that. And again, I mean, there should be some connectivity. If you might have gone to attend an interview, and I'm interviewing you people. I said, yes, introduce yourself. Then I did not say that, Shailja, introduce yourself. I said, introduce yourself. Then what should you say? Arshia, first you need to tell your name, and then about your educational qualifications, and then about your experience, and then about, about any other achievements. In a logical order, you try to say that. Okay. If I tell you to talk about your family, and you say, yes, mine is a very small family. I'm the only daughter, and my father works in so and so, and my mother is a homemaker. And now shifting to some. And my father had very good education. He was educated in Bombay University and something like that. You are diverting that. There is no cohesiveness, no coherence there. Okay, there is no logical order of your thoughts or ideas that you are trying to express. Right? Sometimes, in the sleep, like when we are awakened by our parents, we don't know what we are speaking. We just, mumble something or the other without any connectivity, right? The situation. So that kind of things, that is what, discourse means. That is the one we should think of. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So connectivity, connected writing or connected speech. Then comes the strategic competition. Yeah. Strategies, they are the methods, or they are the shortcuts for us to learn, or to do any task as such. Okay. For example, they have given an example here. The speaker may not know a certain word. Okay. And he would ask the listener what that word is in the target language. For example, I am here. He means to say that, one good example I would like to give here. Yes, I have read a sentence. I am with my friends, and I read a sentence in the newspaper. I could understand the whole sentence except one word. I did not understand that. But I don't want myself to be let down in front of my friends. So what I'll do, hey, had you read newspaper today? And see, this is the sentence I came across. Do you understand what is this? Then immediately that person might say that. And from that, you might get an idea, and you try to add more. Like you give a synonym for that particular word. And there again, the conversation takes place, the communication takes place. So this is how, we can make our communication more effective and strategically. Okay. And sometimes, the message that you try to convey to your friends might be misunderstood. So again, you have to I mean, you have to restore your communication by apologizing or by trying to explain your friend that wasn't your intention, right? You can, and you try to give clarification about that. And your body, facial expressions, body movements also. Okay.